Chapter 37. Live Life God Size. Live life God size is a rare topic which is unique and exclusively Indian. There can be no other country in which this can be talked because India can institutionalize and talk about the culture of the world. No other country has the culture as ancient as India. Indian culture has a spiritual foundation and belongs to our own hearts. The culture of the world should neither be materialistic nor spiritualistic. It should essentially belong to man who lives on this earth. India is rightly called Bhatirati, the light that attracts. It is called Bharata, which means the light that attracts everyone. If you study history, the realized masters, including Jesus, came to India. So, whether it is Mimamsa or Charvaka, whether it is Greek or Advaita, all the philosophies and religions have their roots in Indian philosophy. With this background of our great culture, let us analyze in depth about our life and how it should be and how it can be raised to God size. 3 people were sailing in the sea. The sea was very rough and the boat they were sailing was tottering. All of them lost hope and were ready to be drowned any time. One of the sailors was a Christian, the second one a Muslim, and the third one a Jew. One of them asked the Christian, "Hello, what will you do now?" Christian replied, "I am praying to my Lord Jesus Christ. I am asking him to open the pearly gates of heaven for me." Then the others asked the Muslim what he was doing to save himself. He replied, "I am praying Allah and let Kismat or fate take its course. Allah will not leave me. He will let me into Jannat. I know because I have done very good deeds." Then the same question was repeated to a Jew. He immediately answered, "I will learn how to live underwater." Life does not bargain life. This life is not for thinking about unnecessary things. This life is not for storing unwanted information. This life is not for learning anything at all. This life is given to us only for expressing our beautiful self. The expression of our self is not a theory. We express ourselves in different ways. Maybe it is ugly and maybe it is good or even beautiful. We express life in our own ways. When we express only through our mind and body, it is ugly. But when we express through our heart, it is like the most beautiful musical note. Gita, Upanishad, and the Brahma Sutra have defined this soul expression in their own way. Each one of them has specified how to live in this planet. Still, we have surrendered ourselves to our minds, which is very much wavering, which is not right. We also take anything that is given as meditation, religion, or something. This is also not right. Once, Abraham Lincoln asked someone, "How many legs does your dog have?" He got the reply, 4. Lincoln again asked him, "Suppose I say that the tail of the dog is also a leg. Then how many legs will it have?" Then the man replied, 5. Then Abraham Lincoln told the man, "Just by calling a tail as a leg, tail will not become leg. It will only be a tail." This is what we do while accepting any religious theory, meditation, etc. When we call something as a religion, understand its meaning. Religion comes from the word lego, meaning to unite. Religion thus means reunite. A teacher was teaching meditation to a person. After some time, the person who was learning meditation died. So, the guru of the teacher heard this and came to investigate. He asked the teacher, "What happened to your disciple? How did he die?" Then the teacher replied, "I shaved his head. I gave him ochre robe. I gave him a mantra and told him to chant the mantra. I also gave him a rosary. He was meditating for 20 hours and sleeping only for 4 hours." Then the Guru said, "All this sounds fine, but how did he die? Was there any complaint from your Shishya?" Then the teacher replied, "Ah, yes. He used to complain that he was hungry." Do you follow this? You should not overlook the most fundamental aspects of man, like hunger, while teaching meditation, religion, etc., which makes you reunite with God or Spirit. Now, coming to God. What is God? God cannot be transacted. Can you go to a guru, pay some money and purchase God? He cannot be bargained. People go to temples and offer hair and nails which grow again. If someone says, "If you give hair, it will not grow again," then you will stop offering even that. Is God a trader who barters lambs and sheep? If anyone says that God is a generator, operator, and destroyer, we do not accept it because we do not want to be destroyed. Ancient scriptures like Gita and Upanishads have proclaimed that we all are deathless and are as old as the world, and our culture is more ancient than even the sun. Then where are we? What are we? What for are we donning this body? Is it for minor activities like eating and sleeping as animals do? Or is there any purpose in our lives? You ask your father or even grandfather. They do not have any answer. Each one of us desire to earn material benefits for the sake of our family. Whatever wisdom or religion or pujas are given as assets to us, we follow the same traditions, nothing more. My fundamental question is, has anyone found some meaning in life? Or is your mind empty and praying into some empty vacuum in the form of God? Being empty will beget emptiness only. Don't you think that you have to be full and you need to have some expression so that you will get back some expression as peace, grace, etc.? Prayer results in fulfillment. Fulfillment results in perfection. So, once you start holding this view firmly, you lose minor aspects. Whether we are aware or not, we brush our teeth. We see the mirror while combing, even when we are not particular about looks. These are all subconsciously done. This is the same about our other activities, because all are registered in the mind. Let them take their own course, but let us open our hearts to God. Once, a ship was returning via the high seas to India. It was full of merchants. They had sold all their goods and were bringing lot of gold and other luxury items to India. There were also other ordinary people in the ship. Suddenly, there was a heavy storm and everyone was panicky that the ship would sink. Everyone in the ship started praying to something higher, God. They all prayed, "Oh God, save us. We all have earned so much. Now we all want to live. We have to take all this home. Please, God, make us live. Let us live." Even the few atheists in the ship also joined in the chorus of prayers. There is no atheist in this world. When they come to me, I ask them, Who is the God which you want to negate? They have to accept a God to negate it. So, these atheists also started praying. However, a monk who was traveling in the ship was unaffected. He was very cool and was not even praying. So, other people were angry with him. They asked him, "You are a religious man. Every one of us is praying, but not you. Though we are businessmen, we are all praying." The monk replied, "You yourselves have given reply to your question." These people asked, "How?" Then the monk replied, "You are all businessmen. You are making a bargain with God. I do not bargain with God. I accept Him totally. Let Him do whatever He wants. I accept it." Then the businessmen told him, "Okay, we will see you when we reach the shore. If you do not pray for us, you will have to pay for it." The monk replied, "I accept everything as God's will. I did not ask Him to put me in this ship, but He has put me here. Similarly, if He puts me in your hands, I will accept it also as His will." The businessmen could not influence the monk to pray for them. However, one businessman came to know that there was an astrologer amongst the fellow travelers. So, immediately he rushed to him and prostrated before him and asked him to find a way out so that he could be saved. The astrologer thought for a second and told the merchant, "There is only one way. You are very rich. Pray to God. Tell Him that you will give Him 1,000,000 rupees. Then He will save you." The astrologer thought that, being a businessman, let him bargain with God. The businessman told, "Why 1,000,000? I have got a palatial bungalow. Even kings want to buy it for a higher amount. I will give it to God if I am saved." Accordingly, he prayed, but he added to the prayer, "God, I know that you will not accept my bungalow. I will sell it and give the proceeds of that sale to you." He deeply prayed. God responded and the ship was saved. The businessman was very happy. He wanted to give God something, but not 1,000,000. He got a clever idea. He had a big dog. He tied it to a pole in front of the bungalow and announced, "I am selling this bungalow. It costs only rupee 1. But whoever wants to buy this bungalow has to buy this dog also. Its cost is rupees 1,000,000. Everyone was puzzled, but finally one purchased the house along with the dog. The merchant donated 1 rupee to the temple as promised to God. This is what we do nowadays. Bargaining. What are we asking our God? Do we ever ask peace, bliss, and love? Are we asking for some silent fulfillment? Are we asking the total grace of Him to understand life in totality? We bargain for trivial things. I say God is unseen, but He is silent. He is the expressive power. None of us have any form or name, but each one of us are known by our quality, name, and form. Don't you know that in our bank accounts we are recognized by a name? We are also known as tall, short, fat, which are forms, good, bad, sadhaka, bhakta, priest, guru, etc., which are qualities. We identify each one by his qualities. To find what God is, we have to minus all these qualities forms and names. Then we know that God is without quality, nameless, formless, that expresses as quality, name and form. That base expressing in different ways is called as Atman. That is also called as Brahman. It is not necessary to leave the world to find God or Brahman. Lotus blooms only in the mud. It need not leave the mud to raise its face to the sun. So, to open your heart to God, it is not necessary to go somewhere else. You remain where you are, but turn internally. Take everything into your stride, but ask your intellect to work, not the mind. This will solve all the problems that you face. This will also give you a silent message from God that I am existing in your heart. God cannot talk in Kannada, English or Tamil. God can express himself in silence only, but he understands everything. He is the base of all the education, wisdom and knowledge. He is the Chit, very silent awareness. By having God, we are not going to lose the world. Instead, we express ourselves better in this world. Every moment we will be expressing ourselves from the heart. We will not think about the future. We will be living in the present fully. Can't you appreciate this? This we call as God size. God size is not anywhere else. It is in you. You cannot find God anywhere outside. There is a statement in Lalita Sahasranama which says Antarmukha Samaradhya Bahirmukha Sudurlabha. We can't find God with Bahir Drishti or external vision. You can hide yourself behind Gita and talk as if you know what Gita is. You can quote it now and then like this: Sarva dharma parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja. What is that dharma? I know a gentleman who believes very strongly in his guru's dictum: work is worship. He works overtime in his medical shop from morning 8:30 to 10 o'clock late in the night. I asked him why he is doing this. He told me, work is worship. This is the worship I do to Guru and God. Can there be a more foolish statement than this? Is God the duty or is duty the God? The answer is Yogaha Karasu Kaushalam. The work that is done with Kushalatha is worship. It is not earning money by sitting late in the night in a shop. Work may be your breath, food and everything, but the ease with which you express your Kushalatha decides whether it is worship or not. This decides whether you live God life or not. Do not lose life for anything. You are the totality. You are the only existence in this universe. All other things are names and forms. For each, he alone exists. All other things are going by rules and discipline. You are unbound. You are the only freedom within. Once you live life like this, you can't live without touching this heart in you. You brush your teeth, you eat, you do all the transactions, you do business, you marry, you get children, and you die. But in all these, you are natural. Even for death, you are ready, not afraid. This reminds me of the remark by a master about the season when all the leaves of trees fall in summer. He said that this is the golden season because you find golden wind. But Many did not understand how wind becomes golden. Then he told, leaves fall down and dry, but when the wind blows, leaves also move in the wind, thus making the wind golden. Do you want a garden where the leaves do not fall due to aging, or are you going to accept it naturally? When the time comes, we all die naturally. A young boy who becomes a famous monk in his Purvashrama days had the tragedy of his brother's death when he was young. He could not contain his sorrow and cried, "Oh, my brother died. Now I do not have anyone to play with. What will I do without him?" His mother was a great jnani. She did not cry. She came near him and started consoling him. Then he asked his mother, "Mother, he was my only support. He has died. Why are you not crying?" Then she replied, "No, I do not cry. He died bodily. You die mentally." These words, "die mentally," changed him completely. Later, he came to be proclaimed by one and all as the greatest monk of the modern age. Someone came to know that I am going to give a talk on Live Life God Size. He asked my age. On hearing my age, he told, "What is the life you have lived? How will you talk about live life God size? You see, I am 70 years now. I have got children, grandchildren. You do not know anything about life." Then I question, what is the life you have lived? In what ways is it different from your father's life? By living this life, you have lived this life at least. Let it be an ant's life. Let it be an elephant's life. Do not take refuge in some philosophy and start questioning me. Question yourself. I am putting it in such a way that you have to unlearn whatever you have learned about God in order to open up your heart to God. Heart is something very sweet, very silent. It does not belong to this earth. It does not belong to this earth at all. Believe me, none of the good deeds or sins affect the heart because it is blooming like a lotus. It is blooming in the muddy regions of our mind. Touch the ever-present silence within all of you to make the heart bloom. After 45 minutes of this talk, we are going to be silent. After 24 hours of bhajans, we are going to sit in silence. After all this hubbub of 60 or 70 years of life, silence gulps us within a second. If it is not within today, this second, then when? Why don't we transcend the mind with our heart? Once the mind is lost, heart starts functioning. The secret of touching God is in the heart, not in the mind. By Kanakadhara Stotra, Shankaracharya could make Goddess Lakshmi to shower gold. But if I call Goddess Lakshmi by Kanakadhara Stotra, will she ever come? No, because my intensity is not as intense as Shankaracharya's. It is very simple. You either have your ego or God. A few days ago, I met a lady who, for the past 8 years, was suffering from rheumatism. She said to me, "When winter comes, God alone knows how much pain I get. Is there any God? But I believe in God also. I pray to Him always. But He has not relieved me of this suffering." I told her, there are only two ways out. Do not expect a miracle. Either believe strongly in God and accept rheumatism as prasadam. Live with it. If you want to get rid of it, Get rid of body consciousness. Cry aloud, weep mentally, and open your heart to God. Within a second, your rheumatism will be out. Do not try to remove rheumatism. Either you accept everything as the will of God or open your heart to God and become silent within. Each one of us has to search the silence within. Antarmukha Sama Aradhya, which means do aradhana or worship with equanimity to this power within. There was a blind man. He had never seen light. So he used to argue that there is no light. Similarly, all of us can argue that there is no Atman. There is no way by which it can be proved. It has to be experienced. Whatever can be proved is Anatman. Even these words are not Atman. The blind man had not seen light, but light is there from the beginning. He went on arguing from village to village that there is nothing called light. People could not argue and convince this man about the existence of light. Then, once he met a monk. The monk went on listening to the blind man's arguments. Finally, the monk said, "It is fine. I am not blind. I see light. I see it because it exists, because of the eye, the instrument in me. You cannot see it because the instrument to see is not with you or it is not functioning in you. I will send you to an eye surgeon who will operate on you. Then you will be able to see light." Accordingly, the blind man was operated and he regained his sight. He then thanked the monk for making him see the light and also the world. So, when I tell you something as God or silence, just know that it is the base in all of us. Now, what you do is just rattling, but through your heart you can touch this, the silence, which is the core in everyone. Once you touch this, your whole life changes because the mind dies immediately. Then your life will be like the wind in space. It just goes free everywhere. It has no direction. It just engulfs everything silently. Therefore, we will act as we are designed, but we will not be bound by the act. Only then do we live, and our life will be of God size.